you're listening to Do This First, a daily personal development podcast that focuses on science-backed, actionable steps towards your best year ever. Today we're continuing with our Finish Strong micro series, and it's actually 63 days away from the end of 2024. Today we're going to talk about personas, and in actuality, this is going to be 2 podcast episodes because personas are a very broad and very important topic when it comes to marketing your brand and developing your audience. First thing to really consider is that understanding your audience requires us to go beyond generic demographics. Demographics are just a small piece of the puzzle. You really have to create detailed personas that reflect the needs and desires of your tribe, your audience. Today we're going to dig a little bit deeper into crafting personas, but like I said, we're going to have 2 podcast episodes. The next one will be tomorrow because it is a very important topic and there's a lot to cover. When crafting personas, one of the things that's really important is to identify the KPIs tied to them and the process of segmenting and testing your audience. Audience segmentation is another huge topic, and we'll lightly touch on it tomorrow, but it will have its own podcast episode as well. And KPIs, just in case you're not very familiar, they're basically quantifiable actions that your audience takes that helps you measure success, such as clicks on your content or your posts, such as opening your email, purchasing a product from you, and so on and so forth. Everything you do is to get your audience, your true tribe, to take an action. And so this is how KPIs are actionable insights into those actions. That's how you gauge whether you're being successful with your campaigns in reaching your audience. Going back to developing your audience, personas are semi-fictional representations of your ideal customers, and it's based on market research, data, and insights. Very important that you conduct the market research and synthesize the data so that you can glean insights from the information. Personas really go beyond interests and behaviors and pain points and motivations, things that we touched on yesterday. All very important things, but personas goes way beyond that. Well-defined personas enable businesses and brands to tailor strategies and product development and your messaging to meet specific needs and track success through the KPIs that we talked about. Creating effective personas involves a series of research steps. You have to know your audience. We've touched on how to collect the data on your audience, like through surveys, social listening and monitoring, and competitor analysis, among many other things. You have to analyze the collected data to identify the patterns and trends. Very straightforward. You look for similarities in demographics, whether it's age, income, and psychographics, which is just a fancy word for saying interests and motivations. You may want to look into sentiment analysis, which helps you gauge the sentiment of feelings towards certain products, brands, or even topics. A lot of brands should really do this because I've seen how some brands fall out of favor because they decided to embrace a particular direction or a platform or even a person. If they had conducted sentiment analysis, they would have known that it wasn't advisable for their brand to do so. Based on the data analyzed, you create multiple personas representing different segments of your target audience. This is crucial because it helps you capture the range of your market. For example, this is just a very high-level overview. In the music industry, there are common buyer personas. The casual listener, who's usually between 18 and 35 and includes both genders, and they vary in income levels, so it's very broad. Their motivation is that they enjoy music for entertainment and relaxation. Their behavior is they stream music on platforms like Spotify or Apple Music. They attend festivals and they follow popular playlists. If you want to reach that demographic, Your strategy would be to utilize social media advertising and influencer marketing and playlist placements to engage them. And then you have like the avid concert goer. That person is, 25 plus with disposable income. They're often part of a social or cultural group. Their motivation is they love live music experiences and social interactions around concerts. Their behavior is they regularly buy tickets. They follow their favorite artists on social media and they care about premium concert experiences. The strategy there would be to promote live events, to have a variety of VIP packages and exclusive merchandise. See how that works? So that basically gives you a high level overview of what a persona, once you start crafting it, could entail, some of the elements that it would have. Multiple personas is a must. It's crucial because it allows you to tailor marketing to each group's unique needs. The targeted approach increases engagement and conversion rates as messaging resonates deeply with each segment. Identifying your core and secondary personas is also important. Core personas are your primary audience, those who are highly likely to convert into paying customers. You identify them based on their high engagement rates, their significant purchase history, their positive feedback. It could be a combination of those or one of those. The secondary persona might express interest in your product or services, but aren't yet full converts. They can include individuals who follow your brand on social media, have signed up for your newsletters, and engage with your content, but have not made a purchase yet. This group can be nurtured, which nurture campaigns, that will be a totally different podcast episode. They can be nurtured with targeted campaigns to convert into core personas. The way you test the validity of your personas is by doing the following. You can run A/B tests on marketing campaigns, targeting different personas. Analyze which messages resonate best, and you'll know that because they'll engage with the message. It'll impel them, if it's working, it'll impel them to take an action. Whether the action is to comment, to share, to buy something from you, to go onto your website, to sign up for your newsletter. If they take an action, that means that the campaign is working. Then you want to make sure that you track your conversion rates. You monitor conversion rates and customer behaviors using tools such as Google Analytics, which is completely free. This will provide insights into which personas are generating the most return on investment. And feedback loops is hugely important. You should create channels to gather ongoing feedback from different audience segments. Surveys, customer interactions, all of that can enlighten you to the effectiveness of your personas. Again, all these things that you do is to connect with your audience. The way you know that you're connecting with your audience is that they take an action. One thing I will say is that if you don't regularly update your personas, you might have an outdated persona. The market and consumer preferences change. So regularly revisiting and updating your personas based on new data and customer feedback is key, because you may be trying to reach a persona that really doesn't exist anymore because they've pivoted and they're doing different things now. People change. Some of the pitfalls, though, I will tell you, is when you overgeneralize. That's why segmentation is really important, and that's why having different personas is really important, because the temptation to cut corners is there, and you'll just end up paying for it in the long run. So just avoid creating overly broad personas, like the ones I gave you for music. Those are very broad, that don't represent real segments of your audience, because your marketing efforts will fall on deaf ears, and all the research, the time, the effort, and probably money that you've invested in will not get you anywhere, will not get you the actions that you're looking for. Another pitfall that I see is people like to neglect secondary personas. That is a big mistake. Focusing only on one core, like your core personas, can result in losing potential customers interested in your offerings. And then some people disregard the data. It's really kind of tempting to rely on assumptions, your own biases rather than data, but really always ground personas in actual research and insights. If you're not reaching the right people right now, it's because you haven't identified your audience. So you need to go back to square one. Google Analytics, again, I've mentioned this, they are amazing when it comes to understanding user behavior and demographics. SEMrush is a little bit pricey, but it's also a very good tool if you're trying to analyze market trends and competition. The best case scenario is that a successful persona strategy will lead to increased engagement and higher conversion rates and ultimately a loyal customer base, which is what you want. If you like what you're hearing, don't forget to leave a review. You can also read a full transcript of this podcast episode and all of my podcast episodes on my blog, dothisfirst.life. And while you're there, you can also sign up for my weekly newsletter where I provide a lot of information on the most cutting edge research on brain health, on personal and professional development, as well as on the neurosciences. You can also stay in the loop on all the things that I have happening as well. And while you're also on my website, you can listen to all of my podcast episodes there as well. And you can also listen to some of my podcast episodes on my YouTube channel, which is at Do This First. Tomorrow we're going to continue with developing personas. We're going to take a deeper dive into KPIs, and we're going to lightly touch on audience segmentation because that really does need to have its own standalone podcast episode, and we will do that. Until tomorrow. Moving past the rain, moving past the pain, or past the color blue, I see power in you. Past welded down, look around, they can't be found. I see a champion in you. I see a champion in